I got to be honest with you guys. I think you're going to be really disappointed with this patch. Listen, I know you're probably expecting a potential change to like Eliath or answers to very specific meta cards that are causing problems, giving you headaches. It has none of that. And overall, this balance update feels much more like an OTA than a patch, to the point that I'm hoping that like they just didn't tell us everything. Like we get usually like a day's notice in advance of the patch. I'm really hoping that they just like left stuff out because there's a lot missing here and these are not significant changes. But regardless, just don't shoot the messenger. Let's talk about it. Change number one, as I feign excitement, is Mojo. Moving from there's no change, except for the fact that the text does change slightly, which is significant. It has like the Dazzler effect as noted here. From going from if you have 4 cards at each location to if both sides are just full, which makes sense for like Space Throne and stuff like that. Mojo's gonna get its +6. Just a text change. This is probably like, you know, it's kind of irrelevant. I mean, the card has a 50% win rate, meta share of 1%. I mean, it's Mojo, text change. Let's move on. Okay. I was so excited when I initially saw Uatu. Well, you guys know, if you've been watching my channel at all, you know I'm a huge Uatu fan. And this disappointed me so much. Because 1-1. 1-1. So let's just talk about it. So basically, Uatu goes from a 1-2 that when it's in your hand, you see the unrevealed locations to a 1-1. I'm calling this a buff. At the start of the game, it shows the right location to you, whether or not it's in your hand. It just shows you the right location as a 1-1. This kind of hurts because, like, I'm like, okay, did you really need to not make Uatu a 1-2? Did you really have to nerf it to a 1-1? Like, especially when we have, like, Nebulas. Like, Nebula does not have any problem getting really high. Like, is Nebula not kind of, like, better than a 1-1 Uatu? Is Kitty Pryde not better than a 1-1 Uatu? Like, this seems like a very, very conservative change. And they do say it. They don't want to impact Series 1 and 2 play. Well, then just, like, move Uatu to Series 3 then. Like, just move him if it's a problem. Just make the card relevant for people that have it. Because if this is what's going to happen, then it's like living in this, like, no man's land. Or like, okay, you don't even want to play it in Series 1 or 2. It comes to Series 3, it still just sucks. So like, what do you do? What do you do? I think you change the series before you make it complete garbage. Like, I don't want to say it's complete garbage. I'm going to test it. But I was so upset when I saw this change. It's like, this is the buff Uatu god. Like, I wanted something more. I'm actually disappointed here. I mean, all these changes are kind of disappointing. And they make sense. The next 3 we're going to talk about make sense. But it's not the change to Eliath. It's not the change that you're probably looking for like the meta-relevant stuff. It's just not here. In their defense, though, we do have some stuff coming with new season pass and stuff. It should shake things up. But anyways, this card's irrelevant. It'll probably stay that way, and it makes me sad. Mantis. Now, this is actually a significant change to some degree. Now, the next 3 cards are moving in a bit of a package here. Series 1, 48% win rate, negative cube rate, no meta share, which is kind of funny because Mantis in the last, like, week has actually been being slotted into some Loki decks. There's been some experimentation with Mantis, and the win rate on those decks isn't actually all that bad, but in aggregate, Mantis has been pretty bad. It goes from a 1-2 to a 2-3. Okay. That's not really a buff. 1-2 is the stock stat line at 1 cost. 2-3 is the stock stat line at 2 cost. So what's the change? It's not the text here. It's how it interacts with the other cards we're going to talk about. Like Cable, which goes from a 2-2 to a 3-4. And Cable has a middling win rate of 50. That's actually a bad win rate, really. Negative cube rate and ironically, more of a meta share than you'd expect. But it's because Loki's so popular. But Cable's not really a part of like the top tier Loki decks, straight up. So basically, the same ability, just a change in the power. When you consider that you have Mantis that goes from a 2-3, now you have a 3-4, and once again, so now you get this hand generation in steps. It certainly can't stop there. No, it can't. And I don't mind this change. These changes make sense. Maria Hill, I actually like this one a lot. This is the one that I'm like, okay, finally, Maria Hill. This makes actual sense. Although it kind of competes with Quinjet, which is a little unfortunate. But it goes from a 2-3 to a 1-2. Again, stock stat line, just flipping and powers. Goes from adding a random 1 or 2 cost to your hand to just add a random 2 cost to your hand. Way better text. The consistency is so much better than the randomness before. You get to play it on curve, you get another curve play, and really, like, that is exactly what you want from Maria Hill. This is a huge buff, in my opinion. And then, ultimately, like, this is a card that saw almost no play, even with Loki. These are all cards that kind of got, like, had the potential to be something with Loki, and they just never ended up being that way at all, right? So 51% win rate, almost a negative cube rate, almost no meta share. But when you see them together, you start to see what they're going for. And I get it, right? You have the Maria Hill on 1, the Mantis on 2, the Cable on 3. Of course, you have Coulson, you have Nick Fury on 4. You have these like hand generation things, and that's great. These costs make more sense. But I just can't shake the feeling that this could have just been an OTA. You know, like I get, okay, Uatu probably couldn't have been an OTA. Probably for some reason that I'm unaware of, Mojo had to be a patch. But these ones, these are probably an OTA, right? Like it's number changes to, it's literally not. I mean, Maria Hill gets a text change, but I don't know how hard that is really, right? But this makes the game better. It makes more sense. It gives these decks something a little more of like varying different lines. But I don't think this is the patch you wanted. This is kind of the problem. Hell, it's not the patch I wanted. Like, I get it. Very disappointing. I guess the hope here is that, I mean, by the time you see this, Elsa Bloodstone has come out. And hopefully the decks have shaken the meta up a little bit. Hopefully they're not like completely broken like Loki was. Hopefully they're just good enough to shake things up and move us out of this kind of like catatonic state that we're in with the meta. Like, just shake it up a little bit. But this patch ain't doing it. And I'm sorry, guys. I know you're probably disappointed, but you know what? If you are, I got another video for you over here. I don't know what I'm going to put there. I'm going to put another video. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully you'll like it. You know what I'm going to put there? I'm going to put it to Snapchat, the one where we talk about the series drops not happening. What's up with that? It's a good video. And hopefully our next patch no T update creates a little more excitement. We'll see you in that next one.